Look. Okay, 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it. 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it. I ain't never seen a city sleep. You can really hit a city breathe. They be saying we ain't got culture, they just don't know what it really means. No, we gotta represent heavy underrated, yeah, we gotta make a scene. No shade to the other guys, but you can't deny we the one to be. Capital city, the map looking pretty when we on it. So community driven, the people we living with, loving each other. That's all that we seeking for.
Lupe, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, these conversations have been really fun. We've been having them for several months now, and it's with people who I have had the privilege of working with, specifically related to the promise, and also related to the city as a whole that we love. Right? Because what we found over the last 10 years in doing this promise work is that a scholarship is really important. But a scholarship without a full community behind it just doesn't do the same. Right? And when kids know that they are beloved, when they know they are inherently worthy, and when they know that there's a community that really believes in them, is behind them, things change. They actually use the scholarship.
Absolutely. And I think that now that the promise has been around for a little bit, siblings or teachers talk about it. They know that this is available to them. They're going to be able to use the scholarship someday, and that just gives them that motivation, or that just having the vision of that coming, just like graduation is coming, or the next step is coming, and they already are preparing, and the teachers use this as a tool to prepare them to move forward, and not just get by, but really get their basics in to be able to get to, the university or the college they choose, and then that's where we step in, right?
It's exactly right. And now you've really been with us, supporting us from the beginning.
Actually, yes. My brother Raphael introduced me to the promise. He was working with Chief Alley at the time. Yeah. And I remember the very first time when we had a meeting with some of the students at assembly, with parents and students, introducing the promise at that time. Yeah, so I'm very proud to be a part of it. I believe in it.
That absolutely has shown, for lots of different reasons. Obviously, most recently, we'll talk about with your support through the legacy itself. But even so, your heart for Lansing kids. There are very few people in this city whose heart I trust more. Period. Next sentence. And there are very few people who have demonstrated that love for our city in more consistent ways. Seeing the work that you've done, now you and I have worked together for probably about the last 5 years, but obviously 10 years through the promise. But even well before that, right? You love the city that raised you in a lot of ways.
That's right.
Maybe take us down a little memory lane. How did this Lupe Izzo here? How did you become you?
Well, my father brought us to the Lansing area. He and his brothers were migrants, and he had the opportunity to travel throughout the United States, and he came across East Lansing, the Bath area. He met a farmer that they engaged with and they worked with only with my uncles and my dad, and they cleaned up land at the university. And a lot of farmers back then helped the university clean out their land so they could build buildings. And my dad did that with his Mr. The Morals is who they were, the farmers, the Morals.
Like Moral Hall Morals?
You know what? I've often wondered if it was the morals, but I just know that this family was from Ovid originally, and they had a farm in East Lansing, and that's where we were originally raised. And when my dad said, when he started having a family, he wanted to stay in East Lansing because he wanted his kids to go to Michigan State University, and he wanted to help develop this area. And so that's what he did. His father and his uncles would bring people in from the South, and they would settle here. And because they were settling here, bringing them here, they needed a community center, a place where they had resources to help them find a job, help them there in between to try to get them to where they needed to be. So growing up, I had multiple families staying with us. I'm one of 12, and we would bring other families within and we helped them. My dad would help them through the Cristo Rey Community Center. Tony Benavides, our ex-mayor, was one of my, I call him an uncle because he was one of the original members with my father, and there were other Latino leaders that helped at the time, but my dad was very outspoken and very knew specifically what was needed, and that's how they developed the Cristo Rey Church and Cristo Rey Center. And so through that avenue, they were able to get people food and lodging and jobs. And that's when, all the auto plants were here. So a lot of them worked for one of the auto plants that were here at the time. So that's how I got started. And because I saw it happening in real life. And when my dad and the leaders that I knew at that time, they were brick and mortar people. I saw them build that community center. And we outgrew it, and now we're in a different facility over on High Street that Joe Garcia helps run.
That's right.
But that's kind of how I got my upbringing. And to me, those were the kinds of people that I looked up to. I saw them taking care of each other, and I knew that someday those are my heroes. Those are the kinds of people that I looked up to and wanted to be like. I want to emulate them. Yeah. And so with God's grace and help, I've been able to be that person I wanted to be.
The roots grow deep.
Yes.
I mean, the roots grow deep in the Cristo Rey community. The roots grow deep I did not know that part about the Spartans. Mm-hmm. You've been a Spartan since before you ever knew you were going to be. That's
true. And, my dad's dream came true. That's right. Most of us went to Michigan State University. And when I drive around Circle Drive, I remember my father saying, I clear that land so that dorm could be there. And now where that union is, that's where we all cleared those lands. So it just gives me an extra meaning of doing that circle or being on campus. And I've had to spend 30 years of my life on campus. That's right. And I'm very grateful, and I'm very honored to be not only part of the Lansing community, but the Michigan State community. Yeah.
Well, and that heart for the Michigan State community, with always the roots of the Lansing community, I think has shown in a lot of ways. And so I think about several years ago, you had a vision. Well, maybe you had a vision many years before that. Mm-hmm. But you had a vision of what would it look like for a community to come together around common good, except that common good would be the good of other organizations whom you could lift up, whom you could help communities not only understand the importance and value of, but also begin to build intersections between organizations who are doing some specific social services and working on food insecurity, working on homelessness, and working on mental health, working on scholarships, and so fill in the blank on the needs. I'm definitely actually fully understand. It's all coming to me now.
Yeah,
You saw that being done as you grew up.
exactly. I did see that. And when Tom, I did a lot of charity work before I met Tom. After I left, after I got my education at Michigan State, I started my own business. I had the Rain Soft Water Treatment System franchise, and I ran that for 20 years, where I had residential and industrial equipment for water treatment. That was my passion. And had, a lot of people working for me at the time, growing that, being the only woman in that kind of industry. But I got to meet, a lot of bankers and a lot of business people, and I had to, kind of show my goods, right? And tell them it was a hard sell back then, water treatment and water conditioning and water purification, because people didn't really understand how a treatment system could benefit their lives or their property at home. And it was really a little hard to sell. But I think people understand now that, they buy bottled water and, they have filtration systems, and they understand the different things that penetrate into the water with all the different farming and poisons that seep into the groundwater. And so that was kind of how I really first started. Yeah. And while I was doing that, I helped out the food banks and did I had a special soft spot in my heart for the homeless. So I had an apartment that I would have specifically for people that were down and out, and help them, mostly mothers with children. And then one day I met Tom, and that led me to do, I ran the United Way in 5 and 6. I did that. And then I was introduced to a worldwide, or for me, but it was all local, Lansing area charities that I got to introduce to. And after I was done with, my tenure with the United Way, I started joining like Ellie's Place and the Homeless No More and the VOA, and things that I thought that needed a little bit of attention. And so I was able to help that, grow that, give awareness to that, and just did that all throughout the time that Tom has been a head coach. So he gave me a platform to be able to do work that was just needed to be done, and people needed to be aware of food insecurity. Yeah. So I have been on the board, or been associated with a Lansing Food Bank for over 30 years, and for every year before I started the Legacy, I had food drives at Breslin. So I guess I've never really stopped doing what I'm doing. That's right. And it's just second nature to me. And I've been able to meet some amazing people along the way that have done some beautiful work in this community that we need as a strong foundation of who we are in this community.
Well, amen and amen. I'm noticing a theme. I'm noticing a theme of you see a need, you see people where they're at, and without question, you work to meet that need in one way or another. And whether it's you directly or you working in partnership with, to your point, Food Bank or Homeless No More, or anything in between, it has been a consistent theme in the time that I have certainly both known you and worked with you, that your heart beats for community and for those in need in a way that I think has made this this legacy, this what we were calling the Izzo Legacy, so special. Because, legacy often is used, legacy can be used in a lot of ways. When we're called legacy cities, what we're talking about is post-industrial, right? But that's not what this is. When we're talking legacy, we're talking the importance of understanding, actually, I might even say, the legacy that you were handed in the model of Cristo Rey. And then you've taken that and I think really expanded. So when you think about this Izzo legacy, what was the impetus for, and what is the vision for the future?
Well, the reason I really started the Izzo Legacy Foundation, and I had to have an avenue to feed my foundation, and that was the race, right? And we're on our 6th year, but the reason I started it is because we were having some really hard times in our community, in our state, at our university, and it touched me very much. It touched me personally with Nassar.
Yeah.
And we lost our leadership. It's triggering because, I put myself back in that spot where the media came in, national, international, and local. Everybody wanting their little piece of, the breakthrough of, what else is there to undig?
How pound of flesh.
Right. How, since you lost your AD and your president, and your football coach just retired, what does Tom Izzo have anything to do with it? Because they were part of the gymnastics scene. How are we involved, or how did we know, or did we know? And
there was no connection except that they decided to try to fabricate one.
Well, they sure did try to dig up as much as they could to try to bring Tom down as well, because they were just trying to pretty much destroy the university. I can say that now. Back then, we weren't talking about it. Nobody wanted to talk about it. But to be honest, it was so hard to live through, seeing Tom being bombarded every press conference where they didn't want to know about the players or the program. They just wanted to know, specific questions on how it was that he might be involved in, knowing this doctor, and if he had any involvement with him in the past, or if did he know him. And it was really, really hard time for me to swallow that this was happening. And we were definitely hurting for the victims or the people that it affected. I even knew some people that it affected because I'm from here. I knew it. But it wasn't until later when all that came out in trials, right? But we had nothing to do with it. But it took a long time. It took over a year to find out what their investigations were about. And then finally said, Tom Izzo had nothing to do with it. And
which we all knew from the beginning.
Well,
but
we tried to keep our university intact. We tried to keep our community intact.
That's right.
So that's where the Izzo Legacy came about. It wasn't about Tom's basketball career. I mean, he's got so many accolades and so many awards and so many things that we don't have time to celebrate because there's another game and a graduation and summer camps and recruiting and everything else that comes along with what he does within the program.
And we can note, just became the winningest Big Ten coach in history.
In the Big Ten.
In the Big Ten, yeah, Big Ten, winningest
Big Ten. Yeah, he took over Bobby Knight. So yes, that's amazing. That is amazing.
Congratulations to Tom.
But to me,
and his better half.
Thank you.
Yes.
But he's won so many more.
That's really true.
Outside of the Big Ten with tournaments and
So
things that he's done. But, it's nice. Yeah. We're not really honing in on it or thinking that it's a big deal. To us, there's more games to win. That's right. And there's more championships to conquer, exactly. So that's where his mindset is. And our family embraces it because, that's who we are. We're a basketball family, or we're a university family. But most of all, we're a community family. Mm. And so when the Izzo Legacy was created was to, it was my daughter and I, Raquel and I, saying, okay, I've had it. It's enough. I am not going to let some outside sources tell us or define to us who we are as a community, as a university. And there's so many people here that are wondering what's going on, and they're scared, and it's, all this stuff was coming into our little town and our city and our state. And anytime, anywhere, we were being looked at as a negative place to be. And I said, no, that's not who we are. It's great being in this city, in this state, and we're just going to come together and we're just going to celebrate who we are. So that's how really it came out to be. And then I said, and any proceeds that we make will go back to the community in form of 501c3 companies that are doing meaningful work in our community. And so here we are 6 years later. Oh, there was COVID in between there too. It seems like there was so many things that we kept moving forward. There were so many things that our community needed to come together on. We had COVID, and our charities weren't able to have their fundraisers. So we raised as much as we could, and then Tom and I, because it was new, we matched what we made, and we were able to give out monies to these charities that couldn't have their fundraisers. And then we had that tragic mass shooting, and everybody was looking to Tom for a little, guidance, and just they looked to him, and that was a really hard time as well. So it seems like our race continues to find ways to have reasons to gather. Hopefully it'll be celebratory reasons to gather. But these are the things that have, I felt like I'm not just going to sit here and just let this happen. Let's get together. Let's we can't celebrate what's happened in any means, but let's get together as a community and just celebrate us, who we are, what this place is, and what it means to so many people. So that's basically the real reason to have started it. And now on our 6th year, we're the largest 5K in the state of Michigan.
Think about that, Steve.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And we earned that right like the 3rd year that we had it. So
there's
we've had
a lot of organizations that run 5Ks, Lupe.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's only one that can call themselves the largest in Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So we're working, and we're not quitting. There's always reasons to grow, ways to grow, and more people to serve. And as we grow, we've changed our race course. Now it's all on campus, because now we're able to use a course that will not only house a 5K, but a 10K and a marathon, if we're so lucky to grow at that. But that's our vision. And we are certified race, so people can, serious racers can come, and we're a qualifier, so they can use our race as a qualifying race to move on forward to go to their marathons if they want. But it's been an amazing journey. I've always protected my family growing up with Tom. Made sure that my kids were solid and not be part of. I didn't want them to think they were bigger or better than anybody else. You know, I come from a large family. They all hung out with all their cousins, and everybody helped raise each other or made people accountable within our family. You know, so it was a community within itself that my kids learn how to know personalities. And being raised under Tom in the basketball program, they got to meet a lot of people. And they're very respectful people, and they understand that they're not any better than anybody else, that they're here to serve as well. And my daughter Raquel and Stephen are great stewards in that too. So that's the legacy to me, the legacy of giving back and making sure that, you know, I can't do the work I do without being solid and grounded, and that's what my kids are too.
Let me simply confirm that is absolutely true. In getting to know both of them, they have a solid head on their shoulders. They are thoughtful. They are human. They are salt of the earth, and it really does come from your and Tom's leadership, your and Tom's love, and your and Tom's humility.
Well, I want to say that before I even started this, that I asked them because I knew where it could go. I said, do you want to do this? This is what it's going to take. It's going to take us some years to grow it. Is this something you want to do? Because after Tom and I are gone, we're big enough to where we have a place at the Community Foundation. And the legacy is that they are going to be giving funds to worthwhile charities. And so they are invested. Raquel is very much invested. And as Stephen out of college and getting his first job, he's always been a part of it, but couldn't be an integral part of it. But
he was playing some ball too.
Yeah, he was busy, wasn't he?
Practice to do.
Yeah, but I had to have a conversation with them to see if this is what they wanted to do, because to me the legacy was for the Izzo name to be a continuous part of helping 501c3 companies within the state of Michigan, because as I grow, I'm right here in the Lansing, Tri-County area, but I also am reaching out to the Detroit area and to the Grand Rapids area, so that in a short amount of time, I'll be able to get funding and sponsorships from the rest of the state, and that's where their money will stay.
That's right. And it's where you see need.
Yes.
There's need. That what's been amazing is, again, you see a need, and you ask. It seems to me you ask the question, how can I help?
Yes.
And then you don't sit there. You actually then go to work. It's an amazing quality that I know is just baseline for you. That's not baseline for everybody.
I know.
Your heart to say there's a need. Someone could do something about that. Hey, I'm someone. And then you just get to work. It's been an incredibly encouraging approach, and also, to be honest, model. It's a phenomenal example to folks who are either running organizations or maybe have a philanthropic heart to say, wait a minute, Lupe doesn't have to do these things. but she knows they're important. She knows it's needed, and she knows she can make a difference. And so she does. And this has been, I mean, for those playing at home, this has been a labor of love. The amount of hours, blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice that you have poured into not just this organization, but raising your kids, being team mom, being the better half of the Izzo family, you know, supporting Tom in all of this work. It's remarkable. So thank you, first and foremost, for your heart for your family as an example, for your heart for this community. It means more than you may ever know, but that is a legacy that we cherish in this city. And I can certainly speak on behalf of the Promise and the thousands of kids that it affects. Thank you for seeing their value and being willing to give of yourself to make sure they have futures.
I appreciate that.
There's very few times that you get to sit down and have conversations with people you respect so deeply. Lupe Izzo, I not only respect you, but I watch you and take notes on how you lead. You have set me straight at times where I have been moving a little too fast or overcommitting. You have counseled me in times when I simply was not, well, to be honest, when I was going through some pretty dark times. I appreciate you as a colleague. I appreciate you as a leader in this community, and I appreciate you as a friend. Thank you again for the work that you continue to do for this community.
Thank you, Justin.
Look. Okay, 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we're still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it. 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it.
Been too many moments of silence, too many lives have been lost to gun violence. My God, we need some guidance. It's the same city that can be so tragic, also produces a brother like Shabazz and births a man like magic. Why I'm Lansing, born and raised, 517 to the grave. We got culture in our veins, we take the reins. With reformation comes a promise, better future is upon us. You can doubt it like Thomas, but we gon' rise like Adonis, and ain't nobody gon' stop us. We gon' get better, this a letter to my city that we fed up. Ain't gon' let applying pressure until everybody gets it. They can't try us, they can't buy us. Gentrify us when it's coming to my city. Man, I'm blue collar bias, they can't divide us. United we stand, like digits on a hand. Make it to the promised land, we coming up with a plan to make this a better place. I'm proud of Lansing, you can see it on my face. We gotta retrace and learn how to win this game.
51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it. 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it. I ain't never seen a city sleep, you could really hit a city breathe. They be saying we ain't got culture, they just don't know what it really means. No, we gotta represent heavy under ready, yeah, we gotta make a scene. No shade to the other guys, but you can't deny we the one to be. Capital city, the map looking pretty when we on it. So community driven, the people we living with, loving each other. That's all that we seeking for, ain't no reason to need more. A lot of people saying go to the D4, so we need to be seen more. Dream more, need a reason to be more, we just gotta believe more. I mold my style around the influences that I've witnessed. A new beginning, truer vision, it'll soon be finished. Endless inspiration from the people that I've known. Yes, I've grown to love the city as the city made me grown. Know whatever way you choosing for yourself to be expressed, there's a place that's meant for you so you can grow into your best. I can attest to its greatness with my chest, I'm here to say it. We will soon become the mecca of success. I'm expecting nothing. 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it. 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it.